Welcome back to the Slate Show. We got you the NFL edition for Week 3. Um, we're just going to completely disregard most of last weekend's picks. So hopefully it's a new week, new league, this league. So let's have a good day. Let's have a good day.
Yeah, you may have noticed last week three insane comebacks. The Rams nearly lost a 20 something point lead to the Falcons. We saw the Browns blow a 13-point lead, actually 14-point lead in a minute 55. And then later in the slate, we saw the Cardinals storm back from 20 plus points down at halftime to beat the Raiders. And if you looked at my picks, I was on the wrong side of both of those games in the early window. So really not a great witching hour for me, but I will say, just objectively as a football fan, that was an incredible 30, 40 minutes, even, pushed out to an hour of NFL football. Just insane comebacks. We saw Tua and Tyreek come back to stun the Ravens as well. So a
Yeah.
lot of leads just vanished. And unfortunately, I was on the wrong side of two of them, but I can admit as a football fan that it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. It was nice to watch after being severely disappointed for the second week in a row. You can go to the latest 1009 episode and listen to my rant. But it's wild to see offenses actually work. And those games were just insane.
Yeah, did we discount the Dolphins' chances to somehow come out of that division and surpass the Bills? They've got obviously two head-to-head matchups. The first of which we will see this week. So this will be a big test as far as the hierarchy in that division, like we saw week one with the Vikings and the Packers. You've got the favorite and the quote-unquote sleeper. Maybe a bit early for that with Miami, but with the Patriots not looking like a division winner and the Jets being the same Jets franchise, we could absolutely see a changing in the guard in that division as well. So, but yeah, witching hour was incredible. I think, as a Chargers fan, being completely removed from the chaos helped. We tried to give up a game against the Raiders in week one. I didn't enjoy watching that. I didn't enjoy watching Thursday night either. But on Sunday, that might three or four games that looked completely out of hand. The Ravens were up 21 going into the fourth quarter, and you thought getting forced OT was bad, and then they gave up the ball again, and Miami came straight back down the field and scored for the win. So
I don't think a lot of people's hearts can take another witching hour like that. And it's only week 3. So
right, fantasy football too. Just touchdowns everywhere, especially in Miami.
I went 5 and
We
0.
saw.
I
I
went 5 and
did
0.
not, so it's not important.
Oh,
I will not be mentioning my record.
and let it be known, I may have went 0 and 3 on the picks on here, but I did win a parlay. Um, I didn't mention it in the college football one. I also won a 3-game parlay there. So I didn't necessarily have a total negative weekend. So if I just live tweet those and if you follow those, then you can make
Yeah,
money.
and we can absolutely start putting out full cards on the Twitter at the 10:09 if you're interested in that, because maybe you think we're due for a bounce back, because as a podcast we went 1-8 in the NFL with bets last week. Mid Sunday afternoon, I was pretty unhappy with the state of the NFL, but looking back on it, two great games. Obviously, Flacco and the Jets pulling the stunner with Chubb walking in the end zone with a minute 55 left, and you turn around and they lose outright. Big coming out party for Garrett Wilson, the rookie receiver for the Jets. So, you know, there's worse things.
Yep. And week 3, I keep messing that up. The numbers mess me up with football and college and NFL, but gets kicked off tonight. Got a rivalry game. Got Steelers at the Browns. I saw something today that the Browns had a team meeting or a player only meeting called.
I
So
would hope they had one every day this week after what they did on Sunday.
yeah.
I'll say that.
You'd think that is a bit early, but nope, never too early for the Browns to brown it. So, um, this game's nothing crazy or nothing to go crazy over. Steelers offense is obviously lacking. Defense is severely lacking with JJ Watt without TJ Watt, and the Browns are the Browns. So
Yeah. On its face, you look at last week, the debut of Thursday Night Football on Amazon pulled in 11 million viewers. That was Justin Herbert against Patrick Mahomes. This is Mitch Trubisky against Jacoby Brissett, so I don't think we'll see another record as far as those numbers go. But I will say that even with not the flashiest of quarterbacks matched up against each other, there's plenty of talented guys on the field to make this into a good game. of the better running back matchups you could get with Najee Harris and Nick Chubb, also Kareem Hunt back there for Cleveland. So plenty of star power, maybe not under center, but all over the field, especially both defenses. You mentioned no TJ Watt, unfortunately, but they still got Minka Fitzpatrick in that excellent secondary. And then unless they're playing the Jets with 2 minutes left, the Browns defense, that pass rush with Garrett is pretty formidable. So yeah, it should be a good game.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably place bets, but I haven't really looked much into that game tonight. I might do 4.5 or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
I might do a couple like player props or something. I have been into that this year so far. So yeah, I mean that's the game tonight. Obviously, we won't pick it for the slate or anything or any bets, but we figured we would cover it and see how wrong we are after when this comes out. So
yeah,
I guess getting into it, early window, starting off with a great game with the Chiefs and Colts. I mean the Colts. I say that sarcastically because the Colts are they look like ponies out there.
Last week was tough, without Michael Pittman and rookie Alec Pierce, their top two receiving options, and they lost 24-0 to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who in this last matchup between these two, Jaguars embarrassed the Colts at home in Week 18 last year, kept them out of the playoffs amid thousands of fans in clown masks protesting how bad Jaguars ownership had handled this team. We saw the disastrous Urban Meyer hire, second to none, except maybe John Gruden. But they got Doug Peterson now, head coach of the Super Bowl on his resume, and it certainly seems that with the additions on the offense with Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, this is a different Jaguars team, not to be taken as lightly. Now, whether they're going to go out and win a playoff game or make the playoffs, probably not. But this is not the team we've seen the last 2 years win one game. So I think even as we make fun of the Colts, that to be fair, two weapons out on offense, and this is not the same Jaguars team. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like this is a big bounce back for the Colts, obviously, against the Chiefs offense that we've seen through 2 weeks looks just fine without Tyreek Hill. So
yeah. Patrick Mahomes is still a good quarterback. That's my summary for the Chiefs so far this year. So that's
you have
definitely
a
going.
prop bet on interceptions called back. I don't care if it's 4.5. Take the over because he thrived off that on Thursday. I'll leave that game there.
So yeah, second game that we're looking at is the Eagles and the Commanders. The Eagles look good this year. They're coming off a big win against the Vikings. Uh, a tough win against the Lions. Jalen Hurts looks like the guy there. He's got his when we saw it in college, if he's able to get out of the pocket, he can run. He's like a running back out there.
Right. Yeah. 2 rushing TDs Monday night, the later of the doubleheader. It was 24-7 the final score, and it really didn't look that close, honestly. That defense, even Derek Barnett was able to stuff the run with Jordan Davis. Dalvin Cook never really got going. They limited Justin Jefferson, didn't gash them much, if at all. But, road division matchup, going to be a different environment. This team's 2-0, and with, Cooper Rush at the helm in Dallas, it's, again, Philly's division to lose. And if you go on the road and drop division games, that's how you lose it. So
Is it Philly's division to lose? I mean, Cooper Rush is 2-0 as a starter.
I don't care.
I'm
against
just
Philly,
saying.
he's not. Not against Philly, he's not.
I'm just saying.
They go into Philadelphia with Cooper Rush, they're losing by 28 points.
Yeah,
I'll
probably.
say that right now.
Definitely.
Yeah, so 6.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Eagles. That might be a touch high. I mean, it's going to be Wentz slinging the ball is what it's going to be, and he's got the rookie Jahan Dotson, the resurgence of Curtis Samuel, two quality receivers there, and not to mention obviously the best receiver out of all of them, Terry McLaurin, and that receiver room as well.
Scary Terry.
It's going to come down to how many picks does Carson Wentz throw, and how often can he get it to that now trifecta of effective receivers. With that being said, the shootout aspect of it means that this could absolutely get away with from Washington if they turn the ball over a lot and they can't force turnovers on the other side of the ball. But that seems like a 4.5 point spread. I don't know about 6.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll touch on that later on for sure, though.
Definitely. Next game, two high-powered offense. It seems like so far this season. Bills, Dolphins. Dolphins coming off a incredible comeback win. That's the only way you can put it against the Ravens. Bills obviously coming off two impressive offensive shellackings of the Rams and the
Titans.
Titans. God, I drunk. The 2 games on Monday threw me off, but I mean, Bills are playing the part of Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the same Titans team we've seen in recent years with some injuries on defense and Harold Landry and obviously AJ Brown now playing for the Eagles. And that offense just does not look the same. Derrick Henry has not gotten going at all. That outside threat and AJ Brown not being there really just helps defenses kind of just pile bodies in the box and just dare them to run at them, which they have, and it hadn't worked so far. So, like you said, this Bills team has shown us nothing but Super Bowl favorite pedigree through 2 games, and obviously, even in September, these things don't continue forever sometimes. So they are on the road, but I don't know that Dolphins team. It seems like points come in bunches, and if you're against the Bills, you're not going to go into a fourth quarter down 21 and come out of that game with the win. This Bills offense is too good. They put up 40 on Tennessee without Gabe Davis, who's expected to play this week. So that defense, the pass rush, our guy Christian Wilkins there, they're going to have to play a very, very, very good game
Yeah,
to get a home win against Josh Allen and the Bills.
I agree. That's going to be a fun game to watch. The next game is in the slate is a very disappointing team so far at the beginning of the year. The Bengals are 0-2 and facing the Jets, who come off another great come from behind victory. Like we mentioned earlier with the witching hour, there was another one.
Yeah, some Joe Flacco magic definitely on display last week. Had an absolute nuke of a 60-yard TD to the name escapes me, but to really get that comeback going, went for 2, got it, obviously. Got the onside, came back, hit Garrett Wilson for the win. This Bengals team is 0-2. They just look horrible. I mean,
the offensive line did not improve at all, even though that's what they focused on all season. He's got no time.
I mean, you go to a Dallas team coming off a disappointing 19-3 loss to Brady in Tampa Bay, and you lose to the backup, who we've said 2-0 as a starter, that's fine. You put Joe Burrow and Cooper Rush. I mean, that's not even a comparison. That's now neither one of them's going to have a big chance to throw the ball with their own lines and how they performed. Some with injuries in the case of Dallas and Tyron Smith and the Bengals that brought in 3 new guys and they look just as bad. So, if anything, pray for Joe Burrow's health. Joe Mixon maybe as well if he's getting the ball and it's getting just smoked immediately. So the 0-2 Bengals, I can't even fathom the 0-3 Bengals. They're a 6-point favorite heading to the Jets. I don't want to touch that game at all. I mean, 0-3 Bengals just sounds
terrible. It doesn't sound great.
The teams they've played, if you throw Cooper Rush in there, I mean, that's just inexcusable. I don't see how you. I mean, I realized with the 5 turnovers against the Steelers in week 1, it shouldn't have been as close as it was. They were an extra point away from winning the game. McPherson couldn't connect it, so they ultimately lost in overtime. But, I mean, you think 2-1 worst case. And now they're staring 0-3 in the face if they can't get a win on the road. So that's going to be a tough one. At some point, Burrow and the talent on offense has to break through, and you hope it's this week because, I mean, 0-3, people start getting on the hot seat. I mean, Zach Thomas, second, third-year head coach.
I don't think he necessarily would give this team
a hot seat. He wouldn't be the first one to go, but you look at coordinators, position coaches, things like that.
Offensive line coach, you got to go.
He might
it's another game like last week.
Yeah, packing things in boxes the way that other lines look through 2 weeks. So,
yeah,
that's a desperate team. That 1-2 Bengals, absolutely. 2 teams with much better starts this season. The Vikings had a Monday to forget, but with the win over the Packers in their back pocket already, they're looking primed for a run at the NFC North as they host the very scrappy Lions, who I loved last week against the Commanders. They came through big. I think they were up 22-0 as well, and I think the Commanders came back a bit, but they ultimately shut the door, unlike the Raiders. And so, I don't know. I mean, this Vikings team, we've seen, again, just 2 very different performances. Obviously, a step up in competition there. But, the Lions +6 on the road, that's an interesting one to me. What are you thinking there?
I mean, that coming off the way the Vikings looked against the Eagles, obviously, and the Lions look a lot better than they have in the past. Kirk Cousins is always due for those kind of games like he had last week.
Especially in prime time.
Yeah. So this game will get lost in the sauce, and he'll have a good game with Justin Jefferson. So But then, I mean, I don't know. The Lions do look a lot better than they have in the past.
Yeah, and a team definitely looking to forget last week. That's the Baltimore Ravens. They find themselves 2.5-point favorites heading up to Foxborough to face Mac Jones and the Patriots. This game opened as a pick 'em, and it's, I mean, predictably been a lot of Ravens money to this point. I mean, talk about trap line. I mean, this Ravens team on paper is absolutely 3 points better than the Patriots. I don't care where this game's played, but it just comes down to Belichick and his genius in the defense. And I mean, they beat a pretty solid Steelers team last week. So, the Ravens bringing in Jason Pierre-Paul an hour ago to shore up the defense and maybe some pass rush improvement there from Baltimore. They really get at Mac Jones, force the mistakes we've seen from him all too many times. So I don't know about you. This line makes no sense. I don't understand this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. I mean, the Patriots screwed me last week, or the Steelers screwed me last week because that point they were a +2 favorite against the Patriots, and then the Patriots just dominated every aspect of that game. I mean, if the Ravens come out and they score 30 points like they did on the Dolphins, I don't see the Patriots being able to come back from that. So, yeah, I can see how that's a trap line.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one looks a bit weird. Your Panthers playing the Saints.
Next.
Jameis still with some injury issues with his back. Looks like he'll be able to play through it again. We got some other injury news associated with this game that I will not go to just for your own
No, we're going to go ahead and
health
go
and
to it
well-being.
because we
I'll
saw it
let you go ahead.
We saw it right before we started recording the college Slate show. Right when I hopped on, about the time Grayson hopped on the call, he had saw that I literally had just read a tweet because he could see it in my face and hear me say some choice words. Christian McCaffrey showed up this is from Joe Pearson, the guy that messed us up last week with the shin cut or whatever. He tweeted today, Christian McCaffrey showed up on the injury report. He was limited with stiffness in his ankle. He should play against the Saints. So, and then 3 starters or 2 starters and one backup guy for our defense are hurt. Frankie Louvu, who's been our best defender all year, insane linebacker all over the field. He's dealing with a shoulder injury, so I don't know. At least we don't have 4 vertebrae broke or whatever Jameis has, but still, it's not great for us. You heard my rant the other day, so
yeah. These NFC South games tend to get pretty good. We saw last week the fireworks with the Saints and the Buccaneers. I wouldn't think any fights erupt in this one, but I definitely expect a close game. So this field goal, well, now 2.5-point spread makes a lot of sense. I will say Carolina feels one of the more due teams to come out with a win just because of how close they've played. The defense has been there. The offense is not. They're still coached by the worst coach in the National Football League in Matt Rule. So until that changes, I'm not going to put too much faith in them. But I'm telling you, these Panthers are better than their 0-2 record. I'll say that.
On paper, yes, but like you mentioned, coaching is just stupid. So if the Saints get up by they score at least 17 points, go ahead and hammer them to win. I mentioned on the show that the Panthers are now 1-25 when giving up more than 17 points under Matt Rule. So just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, if you're looking for pretty functioning offense, I wouldn't tune into that one early necessarily. But we got some solid offenses in the middle window as the Jaguars travel to my Chargers, who hopefully will be led out by Justin Herbert. Chase Daniels made an incredible career at being a backup and, had a pretty good looking handoff on Thursday as Justin exited with a rib injury, but he came back, gutted it out, covered the spread like a true MVP does. So hopefully he'll be healthy. Keenan Allen's still nursing the hamstring. I haven't even seen practice from today. It's only about 2 o'clock there anyway. But put Herbert back, it'd be nice getting him back. If we lose this game, then I'm going to be worried about our season going forward. I did pick them to win the Super Bowl, so it would definitely be my fault. But what are you thinking about Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars going to LA?
Trevor going to come in, go about 90% completion, going to throw for about 350, 4 touchdowns. Travis is going to get his first. No. But, yeah, I can see where you would be worried about a loss or a result in a loss for your season. I just still think y'all are definitely the better team. Jags are not quite there yet. They obviously showed they can win, beating the Colts handily last week. So, and Trevor's improved so much from last year, and obviously Peterson helps a lot. We want to see Travis get going. Need to see him in the end zone. I could see this being the first game. So,
Yeah, I mean, just
I
looking
need
back
Herbert
at
to
history.
play. I got him in a couple leagues. So,
Oh yeah, fantasy managers with Herbert with a Q next to his name would be very nervous. Just historically, the Chargers were the only team the Browns beat for 2 years. So I will say I do have a factual basis being nervous about games like this. We lost to the Texans last year, so this is not a new phenomenon. I will say in front of our 12,000 home fans, hopefully we'll put on a show. But yeah, upstart team coming off 2 1-win seasons in Jacksonville. I hate this game. I'm not going to be not nervous until the clock runs out. So hopefully get Herbert back. Maybe Keenan, maybe not. Who knows? Big weekend for Palmer, maybe in the cards. But yeah, hopefully we at least win.
what's it like being worried about a game? I don't
It
know the feeling.
sucks. I mean,
I want that feeling.
we saw week 1 with the Raiders. What happens? It doesn't matter if you have a lead. It's just going to go away. We lost we pulled a Scott Frost with Anthony Lynn at coach. We lose every game by 1 score, which is I can tell you is worse. So yeah, big week for Gerald Everett if he gets taken out of the game when he needs to. Obviously Mike Williams as well, who started really hot against Kansas City and then had 2 catches in the second half. So that needs to not happen again. But yeah, hopefully I don't know about a touchdown spread. It's -7 right now, but I'll take a win. I don't care about how much.
Yeah, I would like for y'all to win. I would like to see you happy. I get worried. You have to deal with the Thunder during NBA season, so
Oh yeah, quick NBA news. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has an MCL injury, so he will miss the opener along with Chet Holmgren, who will miss every game this season. So
yeah,
uh,
go Chargers.
a lot of hope in the Chargers, which only leads to disaster. But hopefully, it will not be
Yeah,
this
and then
week.
once Aaron Judge wins the MVP, it's going to be even worse.
I mean, he can join Miguel Cabrera in the fraud club. I don't care.
Back to football. Speaking of not frauds, but yeah,
Well,
there's Aaron Rodgers. The Packers and the Bucks are playing. I mean, the names of the quarterbacks are great, but I mean, the Packers looked good last week. Granted, it's the Bears. They needed to have a better game after what happened with the Vikings. The Bucks didn't look great against the Saints. Doesn't help when your best wide receiver gets ejected and suspended a game for fighting. So that yeah, I mean, you said on here that it's lost a lot of the hype since the beginning of the year.
yeah. I mean, this was you could point at this, and I mean, especially with Devontae Adams still as a Packer, as the best game in the NFL matchup wise through the first 3 weeks. But now the Packers receiver room is led by Alan Lazard. The Buccaneers have iffy Julio with Godwin hurt and Evans suspended. So, I mean, as far as offensive firepower goes, the total in this game, just guess real quick. What do you think this total is?
I think I saw it was like 37 and a half.
It's 42.
Oh, that was a different one that I saw.
Yeah. So they're expecting 6 total. Well, not expecting. The line is 6 TDs in 4 quarters of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. That's
Not great.
insane.
That's
No,
not great. Not great, Bob.
no. The Niners and Broncos total is 45. Let's put that in perspective at how
Yeah.
defensive minded this game's expected to go. Hopefully, there's more points than this, but obviously, with some star power missing for various reasons on both sides of the ball, you never know. But yeah, that's a very tricky one. I've got it in the picks here soon, but betting wise, absolutely not.
Nope. I agree. I don't want to touch either over or under because one is going to definitely happen. Because
No.
they might
Yeah.
just go out there flinging the ball or they just suck.
Yeah. And then last interesting one I thought on the middle window, Rams at the Cardinals. These are two teams that had very different experiences with big leads last week. The Rams almost gave back a 28-3 lead to the Falcons, and the Cardinals came back from down 22 at halftime to win in overtime against the Raiders, which was picked by me and not the other two. So just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, so division matchup. I think before this past offseason, obviously the best division in football. I think now the AFC West has a bit of a lead on that as far as just, I mean, quarterbacks alone, regardless of how bad Denver's looked, which we'll get to. But yeah, very interesting game. Can you trust either team, honestly? I mean, the Rams are 3.5 point road favorites. backed Kyler and the Cardinals last week. I didn't expect them to have to come back from 3 TDs down, but before we got about a month before Call of Duty comes out, so I'm really hoping that even as I think Xbox beta is this weekend, that FaZe Kyler can lock in and get the Cardinals back on track. A little more less of a heart attack game for them. I think that they're better than people thought after that beating against the Chiefs, and we've seen the Rams very uneven through 2 games, so they could be a very interesting division matchup.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams finally got Allen Robinson going last week. Cam Akers looked a lot better, so that offense is starting to kind of get a little bit back into that emotion of what they were last season. I mean, the defense is they still got Aaron Donald up there. I think they just kind of let up with the Falcons, which, I mean, you can't do in the NFL. You can do that in college, but as we saw, you can't do it in the NFL. And the Cardinals are just a weird team. Like, I don't know. That's just NFL games are weird, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So I mean, speaking of maybe lackluster QB matchups, the Sunday night game will feature Jimmy G and the Niners against Russell Wilson and the Broncos. Certainly not the start to his Denver tenure that Russ had in mind. Preseason, do you look at these matchups on paper, even with Trey Lance in there, you think that's going to be a pretty good game, some moving offenses. But this Niners offense has not looked great. They didn't need to last week. They blew out the Seattle, who after their big win in Seattle against Russ in week 1 looked abysmal, as some maybe expected to step back from them. And then Denver last week goes out and beats Houston 16-9. So very uninspired offense so far. Jimmy G maybe taking back the helm could have an effect on that. I don't know. I saw a lot of positive body language from Niners receivers last week, so who knows?
Speaking of body language and receivers and 49ers, have we heard anything about Kittle?
I think he's going to go this week. I think he's expected to play this week. I mean, of course, that was the case last week until much later in the week. But I think that, again, he's on the West Coast, so maybe not practice reports out yet. But hopefully he's back. I've got him in a league. I need him this week.
Me too.
It'd be nice to have him back.
Yeah, that Broncos offense has looked very underwhelming. They got the weapons. They got 2 good running backs. I mean, Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. Is he going? Because I know he got hurt.
Yeah, he left last week with his shoulder. I'm not sure what his status is looking like. It didn't seem too serious at the time, so hopefully he'll be in pads and go on Sunday. But I have not seen what his status is so far this week.
Yeah, that game is not. I don't know. That's just Russell just hasn't gotten off to a great start. Fans already are kind of turning on him, so he definitely needs this one.
Hackett too. Yeah.
Yeah, Hackett's making. I don't even know what he's doing.
He's creeping up on Matt Rule on the 32 spot as far as NFL coaches go.
No.
2 weeks.
Matt Rule is probably about 40. There's probably 10 assistant coaches that are better than him right now.
But yeah, so that's Sunday night. Again, hopefully it's a really, really good game. These 2 teams play to their potential, get Kittle back in that Niners offense. We could absolutely get a hell of a game out of these two, but just very uneven efforts through 2 weeks for both of these teams. So at least right now, not looking like a super good game. But again, this Broncos offense starts clicking, Kittle gets back in, they report Jimmy G. I think it'll be a good game. So
yeah,
I'm holding out hope for that one. Now, Monday night.
We got no choice but to hold out. It's the only one that night.
Yeah, Monday night. Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys head to the 2-0 New York Football Giants.
Do we have to watch it?
I would be hard pressed to.
It's definitely a background just for something. It's just, I mean, yes, the Cowboys won. They got a good defense. Screw the Giants, but
give me a Maction game on Monday, so I don't have to watch this. That total is a sparkling 39 points.
I think that's the one that I saw that was just terrible.
Which is, I believe, it's got to be. No, I lied. Tonight's 38. Okay, so bookended by some bad offense potentially, but I think the games in between will certainly make up for it. Like I said, I really hope Sunday night is some vintage Russell Wilson. clicking in spite of Nathaniel Hackett, who through 2 weeks has looked pretty bad as far as the decision making goes, which I'm sure you can relate to, as I
Yep.
mentioned. But yeah, and again, just like with college, some of these matchups on these slates don't look like much with a passing glance, and then you're locked in to a shootout as far as the game goes. Any given Sunday, just like any given Saturday. So I'm hoping for another incredible witching hour, to say the least.
Now, before we get into the picks, our results and standings from last week, I went 2-3. Grayson went 3-2. Jacob went 1-4. I am 5-5. Grayson is 7-3, and Jacob is 3-7. So those are the straight up picks from last week.
Yeah, so just like college, just like usual, circle the best five. Try to keep the spreads pretty close. The biggest spread on here is the first game, though. It is the Bills going to Miami to play the Dolphins. Bills 5.5-point favorites. Who do you think wins
Give
that
me
one?
give me the Bills. I'm sorry that they just
Yeah,
look too good. The offense, defense is yeah.
I will not hold you guys in suspense. I also am going to take the Bills, and so will our trusted third member of the show, Jacob.
Yeah.
Second one, really tricky as far as the spread goes, in my opinion. We talked about it earlier. The Ravens head to Foxborough and play Belichick and the Patriots. Who do you think wins that one?
Like I mentioned, if the Ravens just get out on offense, I don't think the Patriots have enough firepower on offense to catch up. So I'm going to go with the Ravens after a great early start.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. The Patriots, jumped out to a 10-point lead last week, ended up winning by 3, which covered for some. But yeah, the Ravens offense and the Steelers offense is night and day, especially at quarterback. Now, I mean, the Steelers have better receivers, but we saw a big day from Rashad Bateman last week. So if he can keep that up this week, then I certainly think the Ravens win, at least straight up. So, and Jacob, of
Yeah,
course,
Jacob's got
has the
Ravens.
Ravens. Yeah.
So I don't even want to do this pick. I don't
I
want to.
uh I didn't want to, but I had to. The Saints head to
Yep, that's all you got to say there.
the Carolina Panthers in the early window. Who do you think wins that one, Bailey?
Until they prove me wrong, I'm going with the Saints. That's it. Fire
I
Matt Rule.
Yeah, Jacob also on the Saints. I really, really spent 20 minutes trying to talk myself into taking the Panthers. I couldn't do it. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And if we win, we win. I'll be
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised.
Next up, speaking of surprising, the Rams and Cardinals, a game in which no lead will probably be safe. Who do you think escapes that one with the win?
God, that's a tough one. I'm liking all of these road teams this week. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Cardinals are just so up and down, and I think the Rams are trying. Like, I'm going with the Rams.
Yeah, we all three are not on the same side of this, but me and you are. I'm gonna take the Rams. I think you mentioned earlier Akers and A-Rob getting going on offense. That's gonna help a lot, take some pressure off the defense, which is certainly capable of winning this game for them. But I think the more the Stafford and the offense can put up, is gonna help them that much more, even on the road. I'm gonna take the Rams. Jacob has the Cardinals.
Interesting. Oh, this last one. Whew.
Yeah, last game of the week, closest spread of the week. It is a single point in favor of the home team for a change. The Packers head to the Bucks. You liking that one?
Mike Evans is a big loss. Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are obviously playing very well for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to be pro hibiscus and go with the Packers.
I mean ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, not hibiscus. Hibiscus. um,
I whatever Aaron Rodgers is on, I think it's enough this Sunday to get the win. I'm gonna take the Packers as well.
do me and you have the
Jacob,
same picks?
I think so.
Uh,
Jacob will take the Buccaneers and Brady, so he will differ from us on 2, and
uh,
that is where we're at straight up this week. Again, I really tried to pick the
there's,
Panthers
there's,
for the
yeah,
third straight week, but I just can't do it.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
So
until they win.
right, that's what you like straight up. For the bets, I'll get Jacob's out first, and then we'll go back to back like we usually do.
Um,
Jacob,
before that, the standings, we mentioned it. Unfortunately, me and Grayson both went 0 for. Jacob went 1 for. 1 for 3. 0 and 6, 2 and 4 for Grayson, 1 and 5 for Jacob. So that's where we stand.
Yeah. Shout out to the Browns and the Rams last week for forgetting how to play football late. Really appreciate that. But I have no doubt this week that I'll get back on track along with my two co-hosts. But Jacob, in spirit, likes the Bills -5.5. He also likes the Ravens -2.5, and then the Cardinals +3.5. So he's doubling down on that one as well.
Yeah. My first one that I got, I was looking at it earlier. I mean, the Colts are terrible, and they're playing the Chiefs. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs -5.5. That one seems like a lock to me.
Yeah, I looked at that one. There was two games with 5.5 point spreads, and I liked the favorite in both, but I decided to go with I think the better team and maybe the best team in the NFL right now and take the Bills -5.5 in Miami in the early window. I think that if Pittman and Pierce are out or limited, then the Chiefs could absolutely just steamroll the Colts. Again, we saw them get shut out by a lesser team last week in the Jaguars 24-0. So, yeah, I could absolutely see that. But hopefully the Bills keep their winning convincingly ways going and they get the win in Miami this week.
I'm going to stick with that game. It's bit me in my butt past couple times I've done it, but I'm going to go with the over of 52.5. It's just two high powered offenses so far this year. So
Yeah, and again, the Dolphins score in bunches seems like, but if those bunches do happen, that could absolutely see that getting there.
yeah,
I'm going to take one of the teams that's impressed me the most in the NFC. Again, a little bit of a big number, division game on the road, but
you're doing this to me, aren't you?
give me the Eagles -6.5.
Dang it!
I'm going to take the better
Oh,
quarterback every single time. I know Carson Wentz has the ability to throw their way into it, but he's far more likely to throw their way out of it with the way that Eagles secondary, led by Darius Slay, we just saw shut down a much more potent Vikings offense. So, yeah, give me the Eagles. I hate taking road favorites, but with these two teams, the Bills and the Eagles, I'm more than happy to.
well, since you rudely took mine and we went variety with the bets, I mean, I picked them for the pick'ems. Might as well go with the Packers +1.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you could not give me a free bet on that.
I'm just going to go with it.
That's one of those you bet it and you're wrong for me. So I
Hey,
respect the bravery
kiss my ass.
to pick a side in search of your first win, like me, through 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So
Oh crap! I don't even have it. God Almighty! Hold on 1 second.
yeah, I don't want to harp on the fact that Bailey's 0-6, but yeah, through 6 bets, Bailey's 0-6.
Yeah. Well,
But
shit happens.
he's due. I started 0-6 in college, and now I'm 6-6. So
Yeah. Breaking
no
news: I had
pressure.
COVID. I had COVID, but I went to work.
Yeah, that's imagine using excuses. Come
Yeah. Wouldn't be
on.
me.
No, of course not. And then my last one, I wanted to find a dog on the slate. I didn't love necessarily any of them, but I will take the team that came through for me big last week in a win. I take the Lions +6 in Minnesota. I think we've seen two different Minnesota teams, and the Lions have been pretty consistent as a team that hangs around. Against Philly, we saw them backdoor cover that one, and then they jumped out to a huge lead against the Commanders last week. Faltered a bit, and then, unlike a lot of teams last week, just shut the door pretty convincingly. So I think
I'm
it's a
not.
springboard to at least keep this competitive. So give me the Lions +6.
I like that one. So, we're gonna win them all of our bets, and then me and you're gonna win all of our picks.
I will say it cannot get worse than last week for me and you. So
Yeah, quite literally.
big bounce back in store. Obviously, not financial advice as you just heard. That's the podcast last week. 1-8 against the spread. So
Yeah.
law of averages hopefully kind to us this week. But yeah, this is very much an amateur operation here. So we're going to try and bounce back, and hopefully, if you do choose to bet responsibly with us, you can bounce back along with us.
I agree. Got anything else?
Nope, that's it. These will all be posted pre-game and recapped post-game on our Twitter at the 1009. If you want to see this in video form, if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, we're also on YouTube, the 1009 podcast. You can check out almost all of our podcasts are actually on there in full video format, especially the interview with Chase Price we had early this week. So definitely take a look at that once you get picks in for the NFL and college, because these will be both released separate Slate shows just to keep it easy. If you guys are leaning towards one sport over the other, you don't have to look for it and find it. It's nice and separated already for you.
Subscribe.